So we spent at least 2 videos talking about preparing your loved ones for being involved in your case. First aspect was talking about explaining their role. Second one we talked about was understanding the impact. Today, and finally, I want to talk about preparing your loved ones and yourself for the reality that there may be some unflattering information, evidence, or testimony that may come out involving your loved one. The hard part about a case is that if you're trying to prove your case, you're moving in a straight line. There are certain things that you have to be able to satisfy in order to get to the desired result you're looking for. There may be times when you're bringing your loved ones in, or family or friends or coworkers, that sometimes information may present itself that may not necessarily look well towards both of you or one of you, but it goes towards supporting your case. So here's some things that you need to keep your loved ones or your friends and family and coworkers advised of, or just informed about. You may have to say, or you may have to solicit some information from them that is not necessarily flattering to them. Imagine a circumstance where you're in a situation where someone is saying that you did something and it wasn't necessarily you who did it, but the loved one was the one who actually did it, or the loved one knows the person who did it and they were involved with that person, maybe tangentially. That person may not necessarily, your loved one may not necessarily like being put on the spot like that. But remember, this is about your case going in a straight line. If that information being provided by your loved one will present a context that puts your case in a favorable light, they need to be aware and be prepared for the reality that by doing so, by presenting that information, it didn't necessarily put them in a positive light, but it necessarily helped you put your case in a positive light. In the same context, when they're testifying, there's a real reality that they may actually have to share some information about you that's not as positive as well. If in the same course of trying to paint a particular picture, that maybe they're asking your loved one's information about evidentiary that may be necessary to prove your case, they may have to share information in terms of perspectives, observation, whatever the case may be, that doesn't necessarily put you in the best light either. Again, remember, if it's about the case and getting a desired result, some of those other things you can worry about later. But just know when you're talking to your loved ones that they need to be prepared to be open and honest, to share things that may not necessarily paint you in a positive light if it gets your case to the desired result. When you're talking to your loved ones about the unflattering portions in your case and so forth, you need to understand and get them to understand. If they can give you some indication of which way they're leaning with regards to what they're going to share, that's great. But you need to be prepared for the reality that self-preservation is a powerful thing. If placed in a situation where they have to say something that may be unflattering to you or to them that may put them in additional legal peril, they may be very controlled or reserved in what information they share. And even though you may want them to be as open and honest and candid about things as possible, they still have to do so within the framework of what is this going to do in terms of how is this going to impact me after the fact. So when you're talking to your loved ones and getting them to understand the scope of what's going on, you need to make sure you communicate to them the scope of what's going on. So this way they're not walking in there thinking that this is something that's going to be kind of user-friendly in the neighborhood, as opposed to something that may have a greater impact that even you or they even appreciate. Legal cases are always tricky because you're trying to pull multiple pieces of a puzzle that has different perspectives to get to a desired result. If you initiated the case, you are trying to get to a desired destination. And unfortunately, along the way, your loved ones may be a part of that, and a part of that ride to that destination may require you to hit a few road bumps. Start getting your loved ones ahead and start getting your loved ones mentally prepared for their reality going forward. It's important that your loved ones fully understand that not only their role as well as the impact of their involvement in this case is important, but there may be points in time during the process that they may be finding themselves in a position where they may have to present information that may not necessarily be flattering to those involved, and you want to make sure that they're prepared for that reality, and you need to be prepared for the reality of that information coming out.